It was a night unlike any other, James whispered, his voice trembling as he recounted the encounter, eyes wide with lingering fear. The wind had picked up, howling through the desolate moorland, and the air carried a smell, a stench of decay. I couldn't place it at first, but it seemed to cling to me, like something ancient and rotten, something wrong. I was alone, or so I thought, walking the worn path by the shore. The sea was restless, churning like a beast in the dark, but it wasn't the water that held my attention. It was the sound. James paused, swallowing hard as if to push down the memories of that night. It was a wet, slapping sound. Hoofbeats, but not the kind you hear on hard ground. This was something heavy, dragging through the muck. I turned my lantern, casting a faint, flickering light across the path, and that's when I saw it. His voice dropped to a whisper. It was towering, taller than any man, and its skin, it had no skin. Flesh peeled away, revealing raw, pulsing muscle and thick, twisted veins. The thing was like a horse, but grotesque, with a body too long, its mouth pulled into a sneering grimace of exposed teeth. Above it sat a rider, a man, but no man I've ever seen. He was fused to the beast, his face twisted into a mask of hatred, his arms long and unnaturally thin, one of its eyes wide and bloodshot, glowing in the lantern's glow. The creature stopped, looked at me as if deciding. James stopped speaking, eyes darting to the corner of the room as if the thing might be lurking there. I ran. I didn't care where. I just ran. In tonight's episode, we explore what could only be described as one of the most horrific creatures to walk the dark shores of legend. And I'm going to try to pronounce it, Nuckelavee. Nuckelavee. Okay, as you can tell, I am still sick. My voice is still wavering in and out, cracking, and it doesn't sound normal. But the show must go on, correct? So we're going to try to get this done and get it out to you, and hopefully you'll bear with me. The Nuckelavee, a name whispered with dread in the Orkney Islands, is no ordinary creature of folklore. It's a nightmare stitched together from the darkest fears of humanity, an abomination that embodies the chaos of the sea and the torment of the land. Physically, the Nuckelavee is a grotesque fusion of horse and man, but not in any recognizable form. Imagine a massive horse-like body, but flayed, its skinless flesh exposed, muscles raw and throbbing beneath the moonlight. Its veins pulse with thick, black blood, crisscrossing its body like dark rivers. The creature's mouth is a hideous gaping maw, full of jagged teeth that seem to gnash at the very air. And its breath is said to reek of sulfur and rotting seaweed. But the horror doesn't stop there. Perched on the back of this monstrous steed is the rider. However, this rider is no separate being. It's a part beast, grown grotesquely from the horse's back as if some unholy fusion had taken place. The rider has long skeletal arms that dangle nearly to the ground, and its face is that of a twisted man, its one bloodshot eye glowing with malice. The rider's mouth is often described as fixed in a permanent sneer, lips peeled back to reveal teeth too sharp for any human being. The Nuckelavee is no mere ghost or phantom. It is said to be a demon of the sea, one that can emerge from the depths of the ocean to torment the land. In Orkney lore, it is believed that the Nuckelavee is confined to the sea during the summer months, held back by mysterious power that only lifts as the seasons turn. But in winter, when the wind howls through the isles and the sea churns like a cauldron, the creature can rise from the waves and terrorize the land. Why does it come? Some say it's a spirit of vengeance. Others claim it's a manifestation of the sea's anger. There are whispers that the Nuckelavee was born from ancient magic gone wrong, summoned by those who sought to control the ocean and its fury, but instead brought forth the terror they could never hope to master. Wherever it came from, its purpose is always the same: destruction. Crops wither at its touch, livestock falls dead in its presence, and the very air seems to turn toxic when it draws near. It is said that it has only one weakness: fresh water. A river or stream is the only thing that can stop it, as it cannot cross such waters. But for those who find themselves on the wrong side of the river, there's little hope. Certainly. James's harrowing experience of the fateful night set the tone, but many others have claimed to see the horrors that stalk the shores of the Orkney Islands. One such person is Fiona, farmer's wife whose account is just as unnerving, if not more so. It was lambing season, Fiona recalled, her voice quivering as if the memory alone sent a shiver down her spine. The wind was fierce that night, howling through the stone walls of our cottage. My husband, Rob, had gone out to the fields to check on the ewes, but he hadn't come back. I knew something wasn't right. He never stayed out that long in weather like that. So I pulled on my coat and my boots, grabbed my lantern, and went looking for him. Fiona's hands tightened as she continued. It was the smell that hit me first, like rotting seaweed mixed with something foul. Worse than anything I'd ever smelled before. The wind carried with it from the fields thick and heavy. I called out to Rob, but I got no answer. Then I saw him, standing near the far fence staring into the darkness. At first I thought he was frozen by the cold, but when I got closer I realized it wasn't the cold. It was fear. She paused, her eyes were wide. I saw it, standing just beyond him, the lantern's light barely touching it, but I could see the horse's body. No skin, just muscle and bone, shining wet in the moonlight, and the thing riding it. God, I'll never forget that face. Pale, twisted, its one eye bulging out like it was ready to pop from its skull. Its arms were long, thin, reaching out toward my husband like it was ready to take him. Fiona choked on her words here. I screamed, but Rob wouldn't move. He was paralyzed, like the thing had put him in some kind of spell. I don't know what I did it, but I ran to him, grabbed him by the arm, and yanked him away. The thing, it didn't follow us, but I could feel its eyes on us as we stumbled back to the house. The next morning, half of our flock was dead, bloated and black, their bodies twisted and deformed, like something had sucked the life from them. Her voice dropped to a whisper. We left the farm after that, couldn't stay. That land, it was cursed. Another eyewitness, Alec, an old fisherman who'd spent his life on the waters around the Orkneys, had his own terrifying encounter with the Nuckelavee. I've seen storms that could tear the skin off your face. I've seen ships swallowed whole by the sea, but I've never seen anything like this, Alec began, his weathered face tight with tension. It was late, near midnight. The sea was calm, a little too calm, like the water itself was waiting for something. I'd been out fishing, and I was alone in the boat, just me and the dark. Alec paused, lighting a cigarette with his shaky hands. Then I smelled it, like the stench of 1,000 dead fish rotting in the sun, but only worse. I looked over the side of the boat, thinking maybe something had gotten caught in the nets, but there was nothing. Just black water as far as the eye could see. He leaned forward, his voice dropping to a low rasp. Then I heard it, hoofbeats, out there on the open water. They were slow at first, like something was walking. Dragging itself across the sea. I thought I was going mad, but then I saw it, and it was running toward me, straight over the water. Its horse legs pounding the surface like it was solid ground, but its body, it was all wrong. It looked wet, slimy, like it just crawled up from the bottom of the ocean, and there was no skin. I could see its muscles moving beneath the moonlight, glistening with this, thick, sickly shine. Alex's hands started to tremble as he spoke. Then I saw the rider. It was fused to the thing's back, like it grown out of it. Its face. Oh, God, I'll never forget it. It had this horrible grin, and that one eye, that terrible, bloodshot eye, locked on me like it was marking me for death. He swallowed hard. I rowed like I'd never rowed before, hands blistering on the oars. I didn't look back, not once, I tell you. When I hit shore, I heard the splash, and when I turned, it was gone, vanished beneath the waves. But that horrible smell lingered, stayed with me for days, that foul, rotting stench. I don't go out at night anymore. Haven't since that night. Can't risk it. Another spine-chilling account comes from Myra, a young woman who encountered the Nuckelavee, while riding her horse near the cliffs. It was late afternoon. The sky just starting to turn that deep blue before dusk, Myra recounted. I often rode my mare, Celine, along the cliffs at that time. It was peaceful, the wind from the sea brushing my face. That evening felt different, though. The air was heavy, too still, like the world was holding its breath. Celine was even uneasy, tossing her head and snorting, like she sensed something I just couldn't quite see. She paused, her hands twisting in her lap. Then I smelled it, a sickening, damp odor that clung to the air. Celine, she stopped dead, her ears pinned back, her whole body trembling. Tried to coax her forward, but she wouldn't move. So when I heard it, a wet, slapping sound like hooves sinking into the mud. Myra's face paled as she continued. I turned, and there it was, standing on the path behind us. It was huge, taller than any horse I'd ever seen, but it wasn't like any animal I knew. Its skinless body gleamed in the fading light, every muscle and vein pulsing beneath the surface. And the rider, if you could call it that, sat hunched over, its arms too long, its fingers twitching like it wanted to reach out and grab me. Her voice cracked. Celine reared up, screaming in terror, and bolted. I barely managed to hold on as she galloped down the path, her hooves pounding the earth like she was running from death itself. When we finally reached the village, I looked back. The thing was gone. But I swear I could still feel its gaze on me, like it was waiting for another chance. I haven't ridden that path since. You know, Celine, she probably saved my life that night. And some things, though, are better left unseen. The Nuckelavee is not just a figure from folklore. It's a living nightmare, a creature that haunts the edges of human existence, where land meets sea and reality bends with terror. Its grotesque form and malevolent nature take it on one of the most feared entities in Scottish legend. And its ability to walk between land and water ensures that no place is truly safe. The witnesses who claim it say they are marked forever, their lives changed by a creature too horrible to comprehend. If you've enjoyed tonight's exploration of the Nuckelavee and the tales of those who faced it, be sure to follow Lunitar's Legends, Lore, and Lies. Leave us a review and let us know what other dark legends you'd like to hear about. But remember, as you venture into the unknown, some paths are best left unexplored. Till next time, tread carefully, because you never know when the Nuckelavee might be watching.